Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone. Regular rollers time. We're going to jump right in after I mentioned that this week's list is brought to you by Greg Morris Cards. More on them coming up in just a bit. We'll start with one sent in by PJ, who wrote, I recently had the chance to purchase some cards from a seller on Facebook post. I paid $3 each for 7 cards and acquired some amazing autographs, including those of Hall of Famers Pau Gasol and John Randall. I also obtained signatures from other notable players like Deuce Staley, Ahmad Bradshaw, and Andrew Bynum, the latter of which can be quite difficult to obtain in person. Additionally, I got a Tavares Jackson autograph, who tragically passed away in a car accident 3 years ago. However, I believe the standout card is the Colt Brennan autograph. Colt Brennan made a name for himself playing at Hawaii, where he set numerous records, including 58 touchdowns in a single season. Sadly, he also passed away a few years ago, making this hand-signed card exceptionally rare, with hardly any comparable examples available on eBay. Next one was a bargain sent in by Matt, who wrote, I scored a 2014 Bill Russell Jambalaya for under $100. Very important to put the Jambalaya word in the title, which the seller did not. Yeah, I got a great deal here on a 2014 SP Authentic Jambalaya. Bill Russell is a very popular insert. They actually had these in the 90s, but then I guess remade them in the around 2014 with SP. And this is a mint 9, tough grade. I don't know what the pop count is on this, but I bet it's quite low. It's sort of a rare insert and tough to get in higher grade, but great price here, and you're absolutely right. The seller made a mistake definitely not putting Jambalaya in the title. That would have definitely helped get some more eyeballs on the listing. This was sent in by Peter, who wrote, someday I'm going to get burned buying a vintage lot on eBay that doesn't include photos of the backs of the cards, but today is not that day. This lot of 60s includes 3 Mantles, 3 Bob Gibson cards, Ernie Banks, Lou Brock, and a number of other stars, along with a bunch of commons. I estimated the breakup value at about $500, which is about 3 times the $170 I paid all in. There's always a risk with a listing like this that the backs will be marked or glued, but I think you can generally tell from the eBay listings whether the seller is trying to hide something. There was nothing suspicious about this listing, so I took a shot, and even if the cards came back in poor condition, the resale value of the Mantles, Gibsons, and Banks cards is probably enough to come close to breaking even. Very cool. I like buying lots like this. You're absolutely right. Once in a while you can get burned, but often you can find lots with some solid breakup value if you know what you're doing, and it looks like you found an example of that here. This was sent by Hugh, who wrote, I recently started collecting as many 2000 Topps Allen Iverson cards as possible at market value, since it's interesting to see 2 Hall of Famers drafted in the same 1996 class going up against one another on the same card, and the cards are pretty cheap as well as I believe undervalued. The card I recently purchased was a 2000 Topps Chrome Allen Iverson autograph graded PSA Authentic because I noticed the reflective finish on the Topps Chrome logo compared to the regular Topps Chrome or base Topps card. It reflected light differently, and I had a feeling this might be a refractor. It was impossible to know for sure since the seller didn't state refractor in the title of the listing and the seller didn't include an image of the back of the card, which I thought was weird. So I looked at the seller's other listings and none of them had pictures of the back of the cards as well. I guess since the seller is a large consignment service, it'll double the time to take 2 pictures instead of 1. Anyways, I won the card at auction for $113.50, which is about what other PSA authenticated Allen Iverson on-card autos go for, and I really hoped it would be a refractor. I received the package a few days later, took out the card, and realized it was indeed the refractor, and I literally jumped for joy. The refractor without the auto last sold for over $150 and around $300 in a PSA 9. I will get the card graded and the auto graded with PSA and keep it in my collection forever. There's less than 30 PSA 9 refractors and only 4 PSA 10s. I doubt there's any with a graded doubt there's any graded with an Iverson on-card auto. Matter of fact, this might be the only one of this card autographed ever by Allen Iverson. As a side note, the 2000 Topps Stadium Club Allen Iverson card also has an image of him being guarded by Kobe, which I'm also buying up because I think the image looks better than the top set, since you can see the players better, and Iverson is going in for his one of his classic layups. This was sent by MD, who wrote, I'm a Rod Karu collector, and as strange as it may sound, also a 1981 Donruss collector. When I ran across this listing for $35 or best offer, I jumped at the chance. The blueback portrait of Karu is my all-time favorite card of his, and I have been wanting a well-centered copy for my collection, as the 81 Donruss set is notoriously off-center. This is Donruss's first set of baseball cards, and it was printed on pretty cheap stock where quality control was not very consistent. I offered the seller $25 for the lot, and he accepted, which means $30 all in. I now have one of my all-time favorite cards in a PSA 9, 2 other decent slabs, and a few other fun late Rod Carew era cards. PSA 9s of those Carew cards usually go for around $20 to $35 each. I know it's not a huge score, but I'm very happy with the purchase. It's nice when your personal taste matches up with an affordable sale. This was sent by Dennis, who wrote, figured I'd share a recent pickup from the Bay. It's a 2000 Fleer Autographics Warren Sapp on-card auto, It was an auction format, and I put in a bid of $20. To my surprise, I ended up winning it for only $14.50. Hard to believe that a Hall of Fame on-card auto could sell for so little, especially when you consider how much the Tom Brady card from this same set sells for. With $5 plus shipping, I'm all in for $20, and I couldn't be happier. And yeah, I've said this a bunch of times on regular rolls. I'll say it again here. If in football, particularly, if you just don't focus on quarterbacks, you can just pick up some amazing cards with, great features, great looking cards of all-time greats for just not a lot of money. Great example here. All-time great defensive player, Warren Sapp, Hall of Famer, on-card auto, $20 all in. It's a 25-year-old card at this point, so it's not like it's brand new. I mean, just a lot of good things going for this card, and especially the price. Next up is a 1985 Fleer Eric Davis rookie, and almost included in the regular roll as last time, but pulled in the last second, but we'll show it here. It's a PSA Gem Mint 10, and Eric Davis, for those who don't know, was a star in the sort of mid to late 80s, but a major star, but only for a short time. I think he had injury issues. His career didn't last very long, and his career numbers totals aren't overly impressive. But he had a 2 or 3 year stretch where he was among the best players in the game for sure, no doubt about it, and was sort of a 5-tool superstar. This is one of his rookies. He's got 3 rookies. He's got a Topps Donruss Fleer. This one, as you can see, is a PSA Gem Mint 10. This card sells raw, like in near mint condition, for definitely less than $1. You would probably find it maybe at a dollar bin or a quarter bin even at a show. But here in a PSA Gem Mint 10, it sold for $1,000. I was the seller of this card. I sold it through Greg Morris Cards, who, as I mentioned at the beginning, is sponsoring this episode. Now, I was quite surprised at this sale, but the reason a card like this will sell so high in a PSA 10 is because it's such a common card that it's a very, very easy to find. But there are Eric Davis collectors out there and people who are major fans of his, and they want to, chase the best of the best. And a PSA 10 of one of his 3 rookies is considered the best of the best. $1,000 is the all-time record sale of this card in any grade. Here's a list of recent PSA 10s. You can see it averages about $600, which was more what I was expecting, but very, very pleased, obviously, to get $1,000 for this card through Greg Morris. Greg Morris is one of the most established sports card sellers on eBay, especially of raw vintage, but as you can see, they deal in modern and graded as well. If you're interested in consigning with them or just checking out their inventory, I highly recommend it. I'm a customer of theirs, both as a buyer and seller. I've included links to all their information in the description below. This was sent in by Grant, who wrote, Eli Manning played 16 seasons with the New York Giants, and that was the only team he ever played for. However, many people forget that he was a member of the San Diego Chargers for about an hour. In 2004, the Chargers held the first overall pick, and Eli publicly refused to play for the Chargers. The Chargers selected Eli and traded him to the Giants, and then selected Phillip Rivers with the number 4 overall pick. I came across this 2004 Bowman Draft Day Selection dual patch of Eli Manning, which has the patches of his draft day jersey for both the Chargers and the Giants. This card is numbered to just 500. It's the only card that has any acknowledgement of Eli Manning being a Charger. If the patch comes from the actual draft day jersey of the Chargers, it would be a small piece of history in the NFL, as there is probably only one of these jerseys made. I made a best offer for $45 for the card, which is probably more than it's worth, but a cool piece of history and a great card for my PC. This was sent by Jack, who wrote, I won these 3 value lots from the same seller, a total of 24 cards, and I'm all in at just over $43. It includes some Bowman University 2023, as well as Victor Wembanyama, Allen, and Ginter. I feel like this is an absolute steal for these cards. Yeah, I'm not super up to date on Ultra Modern, but in quick glance, it looks like he did very well here. And just sort of making a separate point, people will spend $43 on packs and get a whole bunch of base cards they don't want, and 1 or 2 inserts and maybe a parallel or 2. Look at this. I mean, you can get a lot of cool cards like this for the same sort of price. I would much rather buy a lot like this than a box of cards for this price. Just a sort of a random thought I had after reading through this lot. But yeah, this looks like a fun lot for the price for sure. This was sent in by Chris, who I actually met at the last Chantilly show, and he had one of the more unique collections you will ever see. He wrote, thanks again for meeting me at Chantilly. I received my grades on the 13 Roy Oswalt Superfractors. They should be back by Monday. I think SGC took it easy on me. I was thinking at least a couple of 8s and maybe a 7, but yeah, he had 13 Superfractor 101s Roy Oswalt, and I think he told me Roy Oswalt only has something like 24 Superfractors total across all years ever. He's got 13 of them. I don't know if the 24 number is correct, but something like that. He's got, half or more than half of all Superfractors in existence. Again, they're all 1-of-1s from various different years, from like 2006 up to 2020 or something like that. But here they are, and you can see he sent them all to SGC, and yeah, SGC gave him some really nice grades, basically all 9s, 9.5s, and 10s, but just a really incredible collection that must have taken a long time. And if anyone has a Roy Oswalt Superfractor, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I can put you in touch with Chris here. This was sent in by Shawn, who wrote, like most, my card collecting journey started in the mid-'80s and ran through the mid-'90s. Some of my favorite players are from that time period, but finding unique pieces is difficult thanks to the gross overproduction of those years. In searching for a unique Emmitt Smith rookies, I found his action-packed All-Madden card has been graded just 796 times, versus over 10,000 times for his score rookie and almost 20,000 times for his tops rookie. While searching for a nice All-Madden to add to my collection, I came across one that actually was missing the gold foil on the card. I've never seen this before. While most errors have little collectability, I thought this one was particularly interesting given that it is an error rookie card of an NFL's career rushing leader and a top 5 running back of all time. This gave me the Frank Thomas no-name on front vibes. As a result, I decided to purchase it for $155. That's a huge overpay for a traditional 8, but as far as I can tell, SGC is the only company to have ever graded one of these, making this a very unique piece and possibly Emmitt Smith's only one-of-one rookie. That is interesting. I'm actually surprised SGC graded this. I thought the only company that graded printing mistakes like this was Beckett, but I guess SGC here. And yeah, I mean, that's, Emmitt Smith rookies are generally pretty easy to find, but here's at least one that's obviously a lot rarer. All right, and we'll finish on not a vintage bargain, but more like a vintage trip down memory lane. These were sent in by Steve, and he found these, and these were ads that a dealer placed, I guess, in a magazine or, I don't know, a booklet or a newspaper or whatever to sell cards through the mail from the 70s, or this was in the 70s or the 80s, I guess. And I guess this is how you bought cards before, from someone across the country before the internet. You would, see this, and then I guess you would call them and place an order, and then you'd mail them a check, and they'd mail you the cards, I guess, is how it played out. But pretty interesting to see the prices on some of this stuff. You can get 500 assorted 1959 Topps baseball cards for $30. That's 6 cents a card. I mean, yeah, sign me up for that. Super cheap vintage hockey cards and basketball. Here's 1969 Topps basketball commons for 6 cents a piece. I mean, that would be an incredible steal today, obviously, but just sort of interesting to see this, and obviously representative of a very different time in the hobby. But that's it. Thank you everyone for watching this week's regular rollers, and appreciate everyone for all your great submissions. Please keep them coming, and remember, if whether you are high or regular, keep on rolling. Thanks everyone.